Hello, Aquarius. How's everybody doing today? I hope that you're well, and I'm really looking forward to working through all the messages that came through. I'm very close to start time today because I was channeling a lot, so thanks for being patient. And I think it's going to be a really exciting reading as always, but especially this month because for all signs, we're really looking at, it's kind of like the last chance to wrap everything up, right? And I'll be doing a couple of collective readings over the next 2 months. One right after US Thanksgiving time around November 27th. I'll do another one on New Year's Eve. Both of them will be my normal broadcast time, which is 9 a.m. Pacific. And the one on New Year's Eve will be really about opening up the portal for the new year. And the one that's coming up next week is going to be about healing through gratitude. And I think that my goal here for the next 2 months is really to help all of us release and open up. And there's a lot of that coming through for you today. And I'll give you a quick peek, a lot to talk about. A lot of things around speaking up and leadership and moving. So we'll talk about that in just a second. Before I get started, let me quickly just introduce myself and tell you a little bit about what we have in store today. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and every month I come through to do general readings for all the signs, but I try to give you a roadmap and give you possibilities because I'm a big proponent of free will. And the reason we show up a little bit early is so that you can see the choices and make the ones that are best for you. So I'm here to empower you and to show you what's possible. And we'll be looking at information that's relevant to any part of your, if you know all of your chart, you can read it for wherever your placement is. I kind of typically make it for sun, rising, and moon, but you can definitely watch it for other aspects of your chart, like Venus or whatever. You can cross-watch, you can watch on behalf of someone else. And the beginning portion, everybody is welcome. You're welcome to come to all of the readings because the way that I work is that I'm clairvoyant and I channel. So if you show up, there's likely going to be a message for you. So even though it's created for one sign, the energy here is very inclusive. So you're always welcome to show up. Let me talk a little bit about how it's formatted, and then we'll get started. So I organized it in 4 main parts. We're going to do the channeled messages first. I set intentions to receive messages through dreams. I meditate, and I also do automatic writing. The writing takes me about an hour to an hour and a half before I get started, and that's how I get these messages. Then we'll take a look at the Celtic Cross. I've already selected a deck of cards to use for that. And as we look at that Celtic Cross, additional information, a little bit more granular about the high points, the challenges, and those choices in between, that'll come through there. And then I really let that kind of take whatever energy it needs, and then I expand the forecast to include specific areas like health, wealth, love, and destiny. The third major part of this, after we review everything, will be a soul path. And the soul path is when we go into key themes that show up, that reveal themselves, and try to get past, present, and future influences so that you can understand it better, put yourself in that high energy, and stay there, kind of like what the Catalyst card does. And at the end, we'll meditate and integrate everything and do that with a little bit of a sound bath as well. So I'd like to say welcome to my moderators, Ryan and Maria. I didn't get a chance to type it out because I was close to start time today, so welcome. Be nice to those two. They really do a great job of keeping this place safe and welcoming, and they're a great kind of resource if you have any questions. If you would like to show support, super chats are welcome. I don't answer questions directly though. This is a general reading, but if you are watching this live and you would like to show support, it helps a lot. Like I have to buy, you would laugh, I have a ton of Sharpies and a ton of index cards that I go through every month. So you help with those physical supplies as well as helping me buy cards. So it really does make a difference, and ad revenue alone doesn't. So for all of you that are patrons or channel members, or you give those super stickers, it makes a big impact. So thank you. Okay, let's get started. And there's a lot to talk about today. I've been using my iPad lately because it's nice to have visuals sometimes when I see stuff. The spirit animal today that came through was a jellyfish. And as I was looking at pictures myself, I was kind of amazed at how gorgeous jellyfish are. Like, it's not just some translucent creature. They take a lot of forms, and they have a lot of really interesting capabilities, which I'm going to talk about. And I think this is why it came through for you this month. But let's just take a moment to marvel at how beautiful jellyfishes are, right? Or jellyfish are, I should say. So let's talk about it a little bit and why it came through for you this month. So when I did some research on jellyfish earlier today, some things that came through were, of course, we already know that they're flexible. but that's something that we'll be talking about, where flexibility is important and where it might be a hindrance this month. But they're also super efficient. When I was looking at their capability of speed and swimming, they kind of work with this, they pull the water through them. So sometimes they can outswim a fish because it's just a gentle motion, and they have a lot more capacity to take a resource and make it work longer. So they don't get as tired when they swim. So efficiency was a surprising attribute of jellyfish that I wouldn't have thought of. Flexibility, they can see through things, and of course they can sting. They have a secret weapon. They look really harmless, but they're actually great hunters, and I think that's kind of amazing. So let's talk about these aspects with respect to you and how and why the jellyfish might be coming through for you. So the first message is, yes, you're flexible, but there are limits to that flexibility. And I think that because you're such a good communicator and listener, that sometimes that gets taken advantage of, right? Just because you can help doesn't mean that you always need to be the person listening and fixing things, especially when it's not your job, or especially if the other person hasn't done a little bit of work to figure things out. So flexibility is good. You can survive anything, you can move through things, but sometimes people push the limits of listening, of having you do things, because they know that you'll just sometimes kind of acquiesce to that. So sometimes the absence of something is a message. So because the jellyfish kind of don't have strong kind of bones, what I would say this month, this is your chance to stand up, have a strong back, and sort of say yes to this or no to something that you really care about. So pick and choose what you're going to be flexible with and where you're going to move, but know that you can make it through anything. And that's basically what I like about the flexibility part of that. Speak up now and avoid that buildup of tension, because the next thing that I was thinking of is the tentacles that kind of come down from many types of jellyfish. And you don't want to get entangled in somebody else's garbage, and you don't need to kind of pull them into your own life business as well. But if there's something going on that you just need to kind of let it go in a constructive way so that that stinger doesn't come out. And then again, you don't get involved in their stuff. They don't get involved in yours. You kind of stay separate because of that entanglement. It's not a good thing. Your words have the power to elevate, to inspire, or again, to also kind of sting. Choose the ability for it to, I should have said it's inspire here. So you want to choose that piece. So sting or inspire, you want it to inspire, because sometimes it can feel really, really great to get something off your chest. But if it's cruel, if it's said too quickly, if there's that sort of aftermath that you have to deal with, it's never worth the momentary joy of just getting something out in a harsh way. So really pick and choose your words carefully and find a way to communicate. I would say it would be better to communicate more often than to kind of let it build up like a pressure cooker, because by the time you open that up, it's going to burn. I actually had a burn that I had on my wrist from making tea about a month ago, and it was that same sort of thing. Like when the hot water kind of comes out, it's much worse than if you just gently lift it up and it goes on its own, or you let it cool down a little bit. So don't let something come through and sting or burn. More often, more venting as you go along is going to be better than that kind of compression and then an explosion. This is a really cool thing. I think people underestimate your capacity, your power. This could be an advantage for you. Think of this as there are times where it's actually okay to kind of blend in and be part of just the surroundings. So it's almost like you're a wallflower, but you're able to hear and see things because people think, oh, you're not going to do anything, or you're not going to matter on this, but you're actually already deciding like the next step of the journey. So use your maybe ability to be flexible and blend in, to learn about what's going on and to figure out what's important, and then to use that so that you can make your next move when it makes sense. They're going to be surprised. You're going to have a chance to sort of shine, and you can, just like we saw some of those beautiful jellyfishes with the light kind of going through it, you'll have your moment to sort of be elegant, to shine, and to use all of your skills and kind of dazzle people. And it's sometimes better to have people underestimate you than to expect the moon and back, and you can't do it. So I feel like you have a moment to really prove what you knew you always had, and have fun with that. And no sort of feeling bad if other people did not, again, maybe they can't kind of compete with that because they didn't understand that you had that capacity. So it's a secret weapon in a good way. because you're really kind of accomplishing what you were supposed to, which is to kind of be like the upright star card, shining, inspiring, enlightening. I really liked the bit about being efficient. So let's put this into something that makes sense, resourcefulness, right? So this is about kind of like 6 of Pentacles energy, being able to take something and then maybe grow it to 7, 8, 9, 10 of Pentacles, where you can really reinvest, stretch a nickel or a penny, and make something go farther than people could ever imagine. So yeah, use those efficiencies. It could save the day, and it could really put you in a positive light. Financially, and also like when we're looking at people, we're all being asked to do a little bit more with a little less right now, right? There's a lot of you that are in offices where there's been cutbacks, where the workload has been shared among fewer people are doing the work of more. So you're going to have to find ways to maybe almost approach it like triage. What's the most important? What can wait? How can you maybe change a process so you're not wasting time anymore? These sorts of things can help you. That could be the surprise where all of a sudden someone sees you and thinks like, why isn't this person managing or in a different position? Clearly they have the ability to do more than we thought they could, and that's a good thing. So I see that kind of step up opportunity. And interestingly or ironically enough, it's because of all the weird stuff that's going on this year. So use that. This is where you can kind of try to take lemons and make lemonade, so to speak. And I think you can do that right now. Make the most out of it. You have the Midas touch, but without all the weird stuff of the Midas story. We don't want to turn everything to gold, but really when it comes to just symbolically speaking, you can take something and make it a little bit more than you think. So I like that. The next piece of information came through in dreams, and this has to do with movement and maybe for some of you resistance or hesitation when it comes to movement. And so I saw an escalator moving, basically just one of those motorized staircases, and the energy was pulling me in a direction. There were people that I were with that were kind of going in a different direction, and we were also kind of being asked to make a choice. I saw the consequences of being asked to step out of line, to do something. At the moment, I thought it made sense, but what I noticed then was everyone moved on and the door shut. And then I've been seeing this metaphor lately in the past few weeks and in the past few signs. So when I started to look around, time was passing quickly. And then I saw the external environment changing as well. There were fewer people there. There were more doors closed. There were more businesses closed. And I couldn't get back to that escalator. I couldn't get back to the people that I was originally with. Things are moving quickly. People are moving quickly. And I feel like if for some reason that symbolic, someone tapping on your shoulder and saying, step back, or like, let me go first, you don't need to do that anymore. Like maybe there was a point in your life where you felt like you needed to step back to let someone else shine. You needed to step aside because it was their moment. What I'm seeing right now is it's your time too. I don't think we have to see this accidental or I guess exclusive energy of this person or the next person. You both need to move forward on that escalator. Don't give up your place in line. Don't be pushed around. The other piece is you have to kind of have this choice of moving with the energy or moving against it or counter to it. I believe if you move counter to the energy right now, the flow of change, then you're going to see a window of opportunity close. And I don't know if this one can come back. Sometimes you can see them come back. I couldn't find my way back to that. So think really deeply and as long as you need to about any sort of trade-offs in your life right now when you're deciding about a job, about a relationship, about a move, and make sure that you're not giving something up or not putting something on the shelf and thinking it'll be there, because the warning here is now. It's now. Act now. So also, if someone around you makes you feel bad for the fact that you're starting to make progress, I would question the kind of connections and the bonds that you have with that person too, because that's unnecessarily holding you back from a great opportunity. So things are changing. They're changing quickly. You're being asked to let go of things. You're being asked to move in a direction that may feel like you're vulnerable, like you're not being protected, like you don't know what's going on. But that's part of the energy of change, is going into that discomfort, going into the unknown. And so much better to give it a shot than to see the door completely shut and cement and you can't get back to it. So I think this is the time to try change and to make peace with ambiguity, right? The next thing, there were so many interesting visuals that came through. So I saw the jellyfish, I saw the escalator, and then I saw a cat, and it was jumping out of a moving train. We're getting sort of a common element here of change and movement. The cat was able to land on its feet, though. So if you are kind of thrown into or out of something, so maybe you lost a job, or maybe you're throwing yourself into a new career or into studying or whatever, like the cat landing on its feet, I saw it kind of dust itself off and then just keep walking. You're able to do that. Even if you have to do it quickly without warning, or if you feel like someone has even kind of pushed you. So in that weird scenario where someone's pushing you out of line, move back quickly or react quickly, because I feel like you can do a quick save, and that's what I was seeing with the cat. The cat is aware of what's going on. Trust your sixth sense, and things will be good if you do that. Okay, for the next one, I wanted to pull up an image. I think most of us know what this looks like, but it's actually quite nice to see the statue. So the next thing that came into my third eye as we were doing this was, I think it's called Christ the Redeemer, but it's the Rio de Janeiro kind of Colossus here. So I want to pull up some other images and see if we can get a nicer one here. So just really gorgeous statue that's at the top of a mountain looking out at that beautiful city. And it's actually kind of cool if you look at what it looks like when it kind of embraces the city. Probably one of the nicer Colossus in modern day. I mean, the Statue of Liberty is pretty cool too. So anyway, I wanted to pull that up because that's what I was seeing in my mind as I was doing this. And so like this Colossus, you might be asked to step up or give others direction. And when I looked at that one, it's really kind of what it is. It's sort of saying, this is the place or this is the way. And it's almost pointing out over that city. Remember to stay grounded and not to let things get the best of you. Leaders, colossi, I guess, when they're plural, whenever you're looking at a sort of symbol of leadership, sometimes it is just a symbol. So if you're thrown into a position where someone says, we need you to do this, the internal thing sometimes is, I'm not a leader, I can't do this. They see you as that, and people need you to kind of give a direction. And that's really sometimes all these things are as symbols. So try not to put yourself or others on an impossible pedestal. If you're asked to take on that icon of a leader, you can do it. If someone else isn't doing a good job, also realize they're just a human being trying to do their best, dealing with the sort of challenges of being up on a pedestal. So try to be a source of inspiration, find that energy within. I feel like you can do it. The other thing, when I was looking at kind of when you look at that statue, it has open arms, an open heart space in particular. I'll pull it up again in a second. Use eye contact, smile, connect, like also use posture in such a way that's welcoming. Imagine if Christ the Redeemer was doing this instead of doing this. There's a reason that it was open arms. The other thing that we're kind of seeing as a common theme for you this month is this idea of being open to allowing things to come into your space. So that's another thing that I kind of was getting from all of this. So I'm trying to hit one more picture here. Let's see here. There we go. Well, you can see it from the front and from the back, but basically open arms, open wide, letting people in. And so I feel like that's part of the potential energy this month, is just sort of saying, I'm ready, bring it on. I'm ready for good things. Also, you can connect with me, you can trust me. And again, this is a lot harder to deal with than this or than this. So try to use body language to connect in a positive way and to reinforce the positive energy and the positive thoughts that you have. People are needing that. They need a smile. We can't always do the hugs right now, but you can really connect, especially if you're doing Zoom or video conferencing like we are, and you don't need to have the masks. And I think that's what people miss, is that openness. So wherever you can use openness in your body, use it. It's going to be an advantage. And again, when we're looking at leaders, realize that a lot of times leaders are symbols. It's a person. Underneath the title, underneath the artifice, underneath all of the kind of trappings of whatever office they're in. So some people are better, some people are worse, but they are just people. And at the end of the day, let's not give them too much power. And if we have to take on the role, let's not let it get to our head too much. And also don't freak yourself out. You can handle it. That's the other piece of it. Everybody can handle a leadership role if they need to. And if you can see yourself as a leader, other people can see yourself as that leader. So there we go. And just to kind of quickly sum it up, and then I will do it again in much greater depth at the midpoint. Your flexibility, your resourcefulness, and your kind of hidden weapon, whatever that might be for you. It could be communication. It could be another secret skill that people underestimate. That's why the jellyfish came through. The escalator, you're being asked to move with change, move into a direction that may be different. Some people might be trying to pull you back or push you aside. It's important to stand your ground. This is where you're pulling in an energy that the jellyfish doesn't have. Strong back, strong sort of posture. And that kind of led into what we saw with the Rio de Janeiro Christ the Redeemer statue, where you're kind of like, I can do this. Look at me. I can do that. I can do that leadership opportunity. And like a cat, even if someone tries to kind of trick you, you're going to see it. You're going to land on your feet. And you're going to be fine. All right, I'm going to stack up these cards, and we're going to take a look at all of the messages that are going to come through here in just a second with the Celtic Cross. Again, if you missed anything, don't worry. I do a complete review at the center part where I can kind of go through everything in about 5 to 7 minutes. So no matter when you join, you'll still get that. Welcome back to all of my longtime viewers. And if it's your first time, it's good to see you. Okay, let's take a look at the cards. I'm going to remain quiet as I pull the Celtic Cross here, but be patient. I'll be right back and we'll break down everything here. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being patient as I pulled all the cards here. It's interesting because I had an alligator come through earlier this month. This time we have the crocodile in reverse. And with the crocodile, it's interesting. We see that this one has a closed mouth, not an open mouth. And it also kind of reminds me of the dragon eye that we were looking at earlier. So power, it can sometimes be in what is both spoken and not spoken. So I think for some of you, really picking and choosing what you want to say and how you want to say it. And sometimes through the same body language, you can also imply that there's more. And so people don't have to kind of like push all your buttons or test you, because they can kind of read like, this is not something that we need to kind of play around with. So I feel like you have a secret power, and it's the unspoken piece, or it's the choice in words and what you say and what you don't say. So don't underestimate the power of silence. Don't underestimate the power of being understated in some things, like just kind of doing, you don't have to say everything. I guess that's the secret with this particular card. And once it comes out, it's hard to put back in. Words, once they're spilled, that's why a lot of times Ten of Swords can be, of course, you know, pain in the body. It can be sadness. It can be all these other things, but it can also be spilled words. And like the sort of blood and carnage in the scene, once it's out there, it's hard to do the damage control. So this month, when you need to speak up, speak up. When you don't, don't. And wait for people to ask for advice, criticism, feedback. Otherwise, just sort of like focus on you, because you're going to do a great job this month of balancing and advancing things, just like we saw with the images that I was looking at just a moment ago in my head, moving forward with the escalator. You're already moving in the right direction. You don't have to explain yourself to anybody. And I think that's another common thing that I've been hitting upon for different signs this month. We'll come back to the crocodile in a second, but this month it's actually about what you don't say. And that's the sort of secret to this one. So we have at the very center, we have the Two of Pentacles, and then we have the Lovers on top of that. There's a choice. There's a choice for some of you between two things that are appealing. It doesn't have to be a love relationship. You might be looking at two different job choices, two different schools, two different locations that you might want to move. If you're in a relationship, you haven't made your mind up 100%. And there's a Justice card reversed. So there might be some difficult decisions around the relationship, which is why it's hard to make that choice. You could also make a choice that could put the relationship at risk, or in a place where both of you have to weigh out, like what's most important. There are choices. There's balance that needs to be accomplished this month. And I think that the choice is with you. That's why it's at the heart of the spread. So do you feel balanced? Are you ready for the changes that are going to be a part of this choice? It looks like it's something you really care about, and it's going to affect people around you that you care about. So this is the one where you'll have to weigh it out. But one thing that I said before I ever looked at the cards was, if somebody tries to pull you back from something that feels right, or if you're stepping aside for someone else, this time I don't know when it will come back. We'll look at it. I mean, I'll look at that in the soul space if I remember. I'm going to write it down so I don't forget, because I think it's an important question that hopefully I can give you a little bit. I'm going to say, like, if not now, when? So that I can remember to ask that question, because that's still a question I would push out to you too. If not now, then when do you want to do whatever this thing is that maybe someone, or even your kind of like the voice in your head that's saying, oh, don't worry about it, there'll be another time. Why are you delaying? So that's an important question, and you're weighing a decision too, because the Two of Pentacles, of course, can be resources, but I tend to go a little deeper, especially when I see the Lovers card on top of it. It has a lot less to do with money than it has a choice, work-life balance, something that you love, getting the sort of reciprocity that you need in a relationship. That's more what I'm getting with this Two of Pentacles. But since it's a finance card too, I would say just be smart about that too. You need to make sure that, is what you're doing actually really giving back to you in the way that you need it to. Because I feel like this would just be like a necessary evil type job where it's paycheck only, but it's not really sort of feeding the heart space. So make sure that there is balance across everything this month. Okay, it's not just the bank statement. Okay, Lovers is still a great card to have smack dab in the center. Some of you could have this happy curveball where you're not looking for love, you're not looking for an opportunity, you're not looking for recognition. All of those things are part of the Lovers, but it comes your way anyway. So somebody could pull you in a positive direction too. That image that I saw in my head can go into a different sort of trajectory, which is someone will say, how about this? And it gives you a whole new thing, but that other path will go. So again, no matter what, even a great opportunity, you're still letting something go. There's a trade-off this month. So you'll make the right choice, don't worry. We're going to get there as we're looking at all the cards. You're going to trust your heart. Your heart always knows. You just have to listen to it, okay? We have the King of Cups in the deep past. He's reversed. So for some of you, if I was having a session with you one-on-one, I would just say, how are you feeling? This can be a heightened sensitivity card. It can show that you're feeling a little tapped out, maybe through, as I said earlier, for some of you that are a point person where everybody kind of leans on them, you can feel like the jellyfish when it's done. If you do intuitive healing or work like that, sometimes at the end of the day, you feel squashed down because of all the energy that you give out. This is really saying, make sure that you're filling your own energetic cup up. Make sure that if you're not happy, you take some time to work on yourself so that you can be the support that everyone else needs. This isn't the deep past. It is one of the highest possible court cards. So your compassion is a great kind of tenet of your personality. You just seem to be in a place where it's a little bit diminished right now. Your sensitivity is kind of like bringing you into this threadbare state where you need to just take care. So take care, okay? We have the Empress card here as well. She's also reversed. So two power cards reversed, past and recent past. And with this one, it's still a very positive card. Empress energy is almost never negative because what does it indicate? An ability to bring things under control, fertility, power in general, and leadership. But when she's reversed, sometimes she doubts her leadership. abilities, which is something that I saw with that Colossus that I was talking about. Sometimes she spends a lot of her energy trying to work with or work on other people. And so much like the Strength card, which came through as well, that energy can be, I don't want to say wasted because there's really no such thing as that when you're looking at the energy, but it's just not the most efficient use. And the Jellyfish is coming through kind of reminding you this month, is this efficient? Does this make sense? Should I be doing this? And we see here she has that balance between the sun and the moon. So it's divine masculine and feminine. You know when and where you can take charge. You don't need anybody else in your life to make you complete. And also there's just tons of flowers all around her. Fertility is there. So you can make this work. There's an interesting thing also with all of these cards here. We have the Two of Pentacles, the Lovers, the King of Cups, and the Empress. Empress being fertility, there could be some of you that are looking also at when to start a family. And it feels like some of you have kind of put a stake in the road, right? And you're looking at it like right now, because it feels like it's been going on and off. This can also show on and off relationship, sort of questions of commitment, right? Do you want to marry me or do you not? And so some of you might be looking at that. When it's an employment situation, it's the same sort of commitment issues. I see commitment being a central theme here. So are you ready to say yes to a decision, to a person, to a path, to a project, to a child? It seems like there's something here that is vying for attention as well. And that's important. And only you can kind of decide when that makes sense for you. We have the Eight of Cups. And I usually see the Eight of Cups as second chances. Also resolution, also a chance to make or break a cycle. On this one, it looks like it might be time to break a cycle because of the way it's been sort of illustrated. And we can see someone that is finally understanding maybe the cyclical nature of someone in their life, where maybe they're always the one that seems to walk away. Or in this case, maybe you're always trying to tug at someone who just doesn't want to stay. And I think that's a really powerful nonverbal message that someone can send you. If they're always afraid of being there, or they're always walking out, or even like if there's an argument and they're the first one to leave or shut down, this can be something that it's a habit and you have to pay attention to that and see if it makes sense. On the bright side of the Eight of Cups, I actually generally like it a lot. So I'm going to put the card down for a second and use my third eye with the Eight of Cups. For me, the Eight of Cups can indicate for many of you that you have a chance to go after something that you may have put aside before. But like I said, this may be the sort of last window that it's super easy. After this, it's going to be like climbing up a mountain. So if you get a chance at something this month, if that Eight of Cups comes around, I say it's time to like drop everything and go for it, because I don't know when that is going to come around again. And that's what I'm kind of seeing in my head. It would feel more like an uphill battle, and you don't want that to happen if it's something that you truly want. And in a relationship, there's always work, but it shouldn't feel constantly like work. There should be moments where it's joyful and it's easy. So if you can't kind of like melt into the joy of somebody and it doesn't feel like you ever have that sort of, I'm trying to think of harmony is the best word. Like if the harmony doesn't exist, this is a chance to really sort of question, why am I doing this? On the bright side, I do believe that some of you are going to set a positive cycle into motion. We have the Ace of Swords, which means that for many of you, you have this idea, or you're going to speak up, or you're going to be able to really start to create some positive traction and start a good cycle in your life. So let's just look at, take this crying person out. We'll look at the person that this is the normal Eight of Cups. And by the way, this can just indicate old ties. Sometimes family can be like this crying person here, where they're afraid or sad to see you graduate on and move on to the next phase of your life. You could also be mourning a stage of your life too. There's a mourning that can happen with that. But you can always kind of come home. You can always return to the past memories, but it does feel like you're being asked to move forward. This is a great card for communication, for writing, for contracts. And we have another card with contracts in a second, and I'll talk about that. But I feel like many of you will be putting pen to paper and either signing a contract or writing something or putting your thoughts into action. We have Queen of Cups here. Interesting. So partners, there's a couple of partner cards that are coming through. I've got the Empress and the Strength card, and then I have the King and Queen of Cups here. You're being represented by Queen of Cups here. The King of Cups could also be sort of like someone from your past. So what I see here is, for some of you, there's too much too much in common, and it could be difficult to communicate. Because have you ever noticed that it's easier to argue with someone who has too much in common with you, because you just kind of like want to do you kind of approach things in the same way, or you're unwilling to acquiesce in areas that are important. So there's no one that's kind of dominant. You can have two strong stars where they're both too strong and they can just kind of like consume each other. So I think part of you, there's a choice also between figuring out like this personality is just too much. I can't constantly be working this hard. So it shouldn't be fatiguing. That's a message that keeps coming through. With all the cups, though, I see a lot of opportunities for meeting new people. It's important not to look to them as that colossus, like I said earlier. Don't put someone on a pedestal. Don't expect them to complete you. Know that you want them to complement and not necessarily compete with you. So no completing, no competing. We're looking for complementing instead. Someone who has maybe a few things you don't, but it's not like it's something that you need. You both just bring out the best in each other. I think that would be a different way to look at it. And this is where the balancing can happen in the relationships. You don't complete me, and I'm not competing with you, and you shouldn't be competing with me. Whether it's friendships, parent and child, love relationships, I think that's the kind of balance that we're looking for, is complementary energy. It's not either or, it's not someone's winning or losing, because we're getting a lot of power cards, and there is no sort of greater than. You're equal to, right? Looking instead at what's around you and also what's possible, we have the Queen of Wands, which is, the Princess of Wands. This would be Page of Wands in this deck. So Page of Wands is about kind of taking an idea and developing it a little bit further. So I like the combination of the Ace and the Page here, because this is how she can take it to the next level. So don't be afraid, and we even see it here right there. There's some letters here, or a contract or some words. So put what's here down on paper or express it to someone so that you can get it to the next level. Ideation and communication, non-romantic energies that are coming through to help push you to the next level. So talking to someone about something that's important to you so that you can further develop and understand it. And a lot of times, haven't you noticed that the more you talk about something, the sort of easier it is to sort out what's important, right? Let's look at what's possible here. So we have justice reversed. Usually for me, justice in reverse means that it's time to say no or to let go. If it's in a relationship spread, it can show someone walking away. If it's sort of arbitration or litigation, it can show that a decision is going to be made, but a lot of times it means that it's not always what you had expected. There's this sort of idea that you need to let something go that you wanted, or let someone know that you can't give them what you want. Or if something can't sort of get balanced, you're going to choose the path where you feel the balance. And what we see here is it's interesting. I can feel my whole crown chakra lighting up as I say this. I feel like some of you have already been guided to do this. It's just really hard to let the words out of your mouth. This can also be about speaking your truth, which is probably why I'm feeling the crown sort of download. So if somebody has been denying you your chance to say what you need to say, is trying to tell you to, I use these examples, it could be like going to a school that you don't want to go to, marrying someone that you don't love, working at a job, or living somewhere that you don't like, just because it's what's expected. That's where that pressure cooker starts to build up. And in this case, one of those stingers will come out. So I think before the stinger comes out, just say, that's you, not me. That's not what I want. That's what you want. Mom, dad, boss, friend, community, whatever, whoever's bringing you that message, just push back and say, you're not listening to me. Listen to me. And then say what you need to say, and then be willing to call your bluff. The one thing with the Justice card in reverse is it means that it's probably going to be listened to. So if you're trying to negotiate something, don't threaten. Instead, you want to elevate it and communicate in such a manner that you would say, I always want you to be happy, and I always try to support you, and I'm always trying to kind of like do the best. I assume you want the same for me. I want to share this with you because this would make me happy and this is who I am. And then you can express it. Say, I love you, so I need to share this with you. That's better than kind of pushing out something and saying, take it or leave it. Say, this is me. This is just who I am. I hope you can embrace that because I have, and I'm not going to really accept a no because this is who I am. If it's about leaving a job or asking for a raise or something, if you're going to threaten, you should have already in your back pocket another option so that you can move on if you need to. It would be better to say that there's an imbalance. Here's the work that I'm using. Use like basic facts that you could pull up for your boss or for this person and say, I do this, I do this, I do this. This person does that. They have a different title. I'm ready for that. What can we do to make this right? Stick to the facts. And don't give an ultimatum unless you've already got one foot out the door. I guess that's all the things that I see with the Justice card. But what we're seeing here also is that if you force a decision, you have to also be willing to accept that the decision may be, I'm not ready or I'm not willing just yet. Because for those of you that are trying to get someone else to do something, it feels like there's some hesitancy from that person towards whatever that desired end is. And we have the Strength card in the end, and that's what we're going to talk about here. This is the only deck where it's a man, which is interesting. I think it's cool to flip the roles a little bit in tarot because I don't really read gender anyway in this, but it's cool to see so much divine masculine in a Strength card. For some of you, this could mean that you're being asked to step up and show your divine masculine. It could also show a kind of struggle between two men that you could be a man struggling with another man. You could be a woman with two men in your life that are kind of arguing. And it's sort of like, how do I deal with this unnecessary kind of like puffing of the chest, right? And that's really what we see here with the bull and this person that's trying to kind of pull the energy of the bull in. It's all a bunch of bull at the end of the day. The Strength card is fabulous because it shows me that you don't need to do it. You already have whatever this person's trying to test you on or whatever. If two people are fighting over you, that's also exhausting too. It's sort of like that's more about them than about you. If the two of those people are fighting, whether it's two women or two men, whether it's three women, I don't care what's going on here. There's a group. It feels like there could be a couple of people. And when they kind of start fighting with each other, they stop paying attention to you. And it's kind of more about them and who's more popular. So don't try to force people to do things. That's Strength reversed. Don't maybe care about either of the two people that are fighting over you because they're more concerned about themselves than you. And don't feel like you have to give up a piece of yourself or a part of your divine energy. So if you're a woman, yes, you can be the divine masculine that we see in this card, of course. And that doesn't make you less of a woman either. Because one thing that I talked about it in my book a little bit, and I'll talk about it here. I don't feel like divine energy is gendered. God does not have a gender. It's male, female, and more than that, and both. But it's not just one or the other. So we as human beings, as channels of the divine, can be all of the above. So own your power. If other people are fighting around you, ignore it. It's a distraction. It's kind of like theater in front of you. And it takes you off your path. That can also make you miss your escalator. So we don't want you to miss your escalator for craziness in front of you. Focus on what matters. And the Justice reverse is showing me it may not all balance out. Whoever you're kind of connecting with right now, they may not be able to give you what you need because a lot of the cards are showing that. But let them try, let them show up and see what they have to offer and just then balance it out and think, is that enough? And I think that's always the sort of question that you have to ask yourself, if that makes sense. Good. All right, let's expand the forecast and then we'll look at each one of these cards a little differently. We're going to focus first on health and what an appropriate card to come through during 2020. So it's funny because a lot of us have been asked to put on hold things like weddings, graduation, celebrations, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever, you name it. And it's okay. That's part of taking care of what we need to take care of right now. But the isolation's real. So for those of you that are feeling alone, find ways to connect with people and to talk about this. Loneliness is a normal sort of human emotion, and sadness and depression, which we definitely see with the Cups cards in reverse, also very normal given the fact that we're in a worldwide pandemic. Even the best of us have days where we think this is crazy. So if you need to talk to somebody, do it. There's a lot of resources out there, and that's a sign of strength. For the rest of you, this is a reminder that if we connect this tuxedo to the Eight of Cups, there will be another time. It will happen. It's just delayed. So focus less on the fact that there's nothing right now, and think about what that's asking us to do. Go inward. And we're on a precipice of change. This is the first time since I've been reading all year that I keep seeing rapid movement cards, not cards, just images in my head when I'm meditating. So I feel like there's a big shift coming in 2021. So we can't control everything that's going on right now, but we can start to affect what happens next. Over the course of this year, kind of like year in review, one of the messages I had earlier in the year was kind of planting seeds. That still holds true. But now I think it's really deciding here and here what you want to do so that you're willing to jump on that escalator or on that train when it comes. And don't worry about the fact that it feels a little scary right now. This is let you see who you are. And I was watching something on TV or social media, I forget. Someone was trying on work clothes that they hadn't in a while and they don't fit. That was actually not just because of maybe not working out during the pandemic, but it's also kind of the universe saying, do you still fit this role that you were playing before? So maybe when you try to get into your dress or your suit or your clothes, it doesn't fit. I threw away a bunch of, I donated some, I threw some stuff away too because it just didn't look good, or it had moth holes because I hadn't worn it in a long time. But I had some stuff from when I used to have an office job and I thought, ugh, I hated the ties and the suits and all that stuff. I was like, enough of this. I don't need that. That's my old trappings. That's my old life. And I'm not going back to it. Not like that. Next time I wear a suit, it'll be for some other celebration, not because I need to meet with a CEO. So let go of some of that stuff. And if you don't fit into it, don't beat yourself up. Just try on something else. That's what this is about, trying on something else. When I did some research on the jellyfish, they have 2 stages in their life. They kind of start on the ground and then they end up in the water. So some of us are being asked to kind of now go into that higher jellyfish stage where we can be more flexible and move around, right? So we're letting go of that stage where we're stuck and we're kind of ascending, right? So that's why it was a beautiful metaphor that we saw the jellyfish for you. Other health messages for you. We got a lot of court cards, a lot of people sitting, a queen with the empress. We have 2 court cards here with the king and queen of cups. So move, obviously movement is good. 8 of Cups is sometimes about just taking a hike, literally, because you'll see the person walking along the water. If you're in a place where it's cold right now, work out in your house. Do what you can, move your body in a gentle way, in a way that your doctor approves. Of course, you need to check everything out with a physician, but movement is key. And we have the strength card in reverse. So some of us are just feeling like an atrophy of muscles and just general strength. So focus on staying well, because that's going to actually help you fight off anything that comes into your body. So the stronger you are physically, the more you can recover from anything and hopefully not even get sick in the first place. We have in your environment, change, set, chaos. And the interesting thing with chaos is that it oftentimes brings about what you need to pay attention to, where you need to clean things up. When I'm looking at if this came through in the spread, I would say clean your house or clean your spiritual house. What's hanging around that doesn't need to be there? We just talked about maybe getting rid of old work clothes or old things that you don't need. And I was talking about that with some other signs this month. But for you, with chaos, it feels like there could be people around you this could be the partnership, this could be the roommate, this could be a coworker. They just lack the same organizational skills that you have, or there are none. So finding order in chaos, also realizing that you don't have to be a part of that either. So if there's something around you that feels toxic or feels like I can't make this better, sometimes you can't. Sometimes people, organizations, situations, they're going to be messy until they're ready to change. If we go from this wealth card into like the environment card, what we would see is someone that knows what they need to do. A page of wands. I know how to set order in my own life. So with wealth, with your environment, it's kind of the same message here. find a way to either clean up the mess or move on if you need to, because with respect to wealth and money, chaos is something that can exist in the long run. So look at your checking account, make sure that everything is balanced there. Look at your job, make sure that you're feeling supported there. Look at if this feels like it's the path that you want to be on, and if not, then that might be something to start to shift and change. And I've been mentioning that this doesn't mean to quit your job immediately. Make a plan. I've at various stages in my life, I've decided sometimes to take 1 to 2 years before a career change would happen. I'm very methodical when it comes to that. I think, okay, this, then this, then this, then this. So I kind of get all my ducks in a row and then go down that path. So I'd like to encourage you to be thoughtful about the manner in which you kind of push forward into the change. All right, let me actually look at the last thing here. Renegotiate a contract if you need to. If you're signing a job contract, make sure that you're getting what you need. If not, push a little bit. I do feel some of you have a little bit of leverage when it comes to that, because we have the Lovers and the Two of Pentacles. So just make sure you're getting paid enough, you're getting respected enough, you're getting the title that you need, all of that stuff. There might be some contract renegotiations. If you're trying to sell a house, same sort of thing, or buy a house, feels like there's a little bit of flexibility on the bottom line. Has to be fair for both parties. Can't just be you taking advantage of a weak economy. You still need to look at the other person and figure out how it could be win-win, okay? And I think that's the important thing. All right, let's look at love and relationships. This is an Archangel Michael deck. It says eternal love. Help me perceive all the love that surrounds me so I can feel safe in receiving, expressing, and giving love. Expressing and receiving, I think, is super important with this, even though it's tiny and in the caption. Saying I love you, showing that you care about someone, that's really important right now. People need that more than anything because of the isolation that many are feeling. So little acts of kindness and little acts of gratitude go so far. And this is also saying with eternal love, some of you are really putting, and I think it's good, you have high expectations for what love should look like. So if you are, sometimes it can get frustrating because it takes longer. If you aren't picky, it's easy. So you're not doing anything wrong. You're just now being discerning, and discernment means a little bit longer wait. So for that, if you have to wait, wait. If you don't want to wait, there's always choices. But sometimes it's worth the wait is what I see with that as well. And it may not be the person that's right in front of you, but this person, look at them and see, like, am I learning from you? Is this what I want? Or is there something more that I know that, like, can you give them what they're looking for? So if you're in a relationship, look at that and think, are we both present? If you're not looking for love, the interesting thing with this is, where are you finding happiness and joy in your life right now? A lot of times when I read for people, there's a lot of focus on material wealth or expectations in their life and everything. And a reminder here would be to have fun and find joy and work in that passion and joy. That'll bring more people into your business and into your energy as well. As we look at your destiny card, we have Lady Venus. Downloads and understanding. The message underneath says, truth is being revealed, deep insights are coming from heaven and the astral realm. Well, I certainly felt it in my crown chakra as I was reading for you. So your sign is more connected than it usually is. I mean, it's always connected because it's an air sign, but I feel like you're especially tuned in this month. And if you can just go with what you feel, probably the first thing that comes to mind as you're starting to think about things. I feel like you're already guided and know exactly what you need to do. So don't second question it. And this also is, of course, Venus is creativity and love. So when it comes to love and when it comes to like career path, I also feel like you know what to do. And ideally, if you're with the perfect person here, they're going to celebrate whatever that path is, because you shouldn't have to give up love for business or vice versa. There should be able to be that sort of connection between working your passion and then passionately being with somebody as well that it celebrates whatever it is that you do. So if someone's trying to pull you off your path, that is something to kind of evaluate and think, why are they doing that? Would you do the same to them? And if not, that's your answer. You know that it's not probably as divine a union as you thought. All right, let's review everything that we talked about, and then we'll go into the soul path. Your wonderful spirit animal that came through today was the jellyfish. Has some really cool attributes. It's efficient, especially when it comes to resources. It's flexible. The sort of psychic energy that we saw with Venus up here is the same thing. It can see through things in a good way. Things are transparent, not just its own body, but it can also see through things. And like the stinger, sometimes it has a secret weapon or it can take people by surprise. You're very flexible, but there are limits to how much you can do and how much you should do. Speak up before you let those limits get sort of pushed too far and that tension builds up. You don't want to strike out at somebody, especially with words, because we talked about that. Your words have the ability to sting or inspire. Try to be the one that inspires and lifts people up and elevates people. You're going to be able to possibly use an element of surprise because a lot of times people don't realize how much you have to offer because you do such a good job of listening and helping and working with other people in your life. So this is your time to shine. Choose your moment wisely and then kind of ascend with grace, just like you would see a jellyfish kind of going towards the surface. You've earned it. It's okay. You don't have to apologize for that. You could also save the day because you're resourceful. You're able to look at things and find efficiencies that others can't see. You can make the most out of time, energy, and money. You have that Midas touch where you can take anything and kind of turn it into something valuable. There is an escalator of energy that's moving and pulling you this month. Are you ready? Are you ready to take that escalator? It was going up. So it's about the next big thing. But for some of us, it's kind of scary to do that. Some of you might have someone in your life that is also trying to pull you back or push you off that path. But if you choose to move with the energy, you're going to see accelerated growth. Time will fly. And that's what I've been seeing the past couple of readings. If you wait, though, you risk that window may not come back quickly. And I also feel like when we see this expansion of growth and movement, those that are in the expansion will expand with it. Otherwise, you're going to be kind of like clawing to catch up. When I graduated from grad school, I was right at the end of the internet boom. And I did a lot of study in new media and visual arts and everything. But I came in just as like everything tanked. So you can sometimes be at the end of an expansion and you don't want to do that. You want to go up with the expansion, not at the end. Don't let someone else take you off the path or push you into a place that you don't want to be in. This is your time, again, to shine. If someone does something, you're going to be able to react quickly and land on your feet, just like a cat would. And also, if you have to react quickly, just do it. I think the main thing is not to overthink it. Like the colossal statue in Rio de Janeiro, Christ the Redeemer, or any of the ones in antiquity, like, what was it, Colossus at Rhodes, you may be asked to step up or give others hope or direction. Some of this is because they see you as the person that could bring order. You're symbolic. It's not that, anyone's better or worse. Sometimes it's the person of the moment, right? You have the capacity to do that. Just stay grounded and don't let things get the best of you so that you think, I can't do it, I'm not good enough. Everybody that's in a leadership role, part of it was luck, part of it was being prepared. Try not to put others on a pedestal either or to overly criticize them. They are human after all at the end of all of this. Put the power back in yourself and make change. You take ownership and you take power. And then finally, using open body language is going to be ever so important this month. Crocodile. With a closed mouth, knowing exactly when to speak. That's really the main message with this crocodile. The catalyst card helps us avoid trouble, helps us stay in an elevated energy. So this croc is sitting there saying, I can do this, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to only speak when I need to. And then because I have such a strong voice or big mouth, people will have to hear me then. So choose your moment wisely. It'll still be impactful. There's some choices that you have to make. Possibly a choice between two things you love, two people you love. And sometimes there's not an easy sort of way to go about it. Sometimes it feels like we are the Two of Swords. But from what I can see here, you'll be able to sort it out because there's something that your heart really wants. And this is a time when you can't say no to that. We have two cards of balance here. The balance is very important. So don't give up on yourself and don't let someone push the balance in a way that it shouldn't be. There is a chance for love this month for sure. We've got a lot of different court cards that came through. a lot of big personalities that came through. But there are three that are kind of in the mature energy here. So we have King and Queen of Cups, past, and you, and then possibly someone new that's coming in that's kind of tugging at the energy between you and someone else. So if there is three people, that's a lot in a relationship, and then unless that's what you're looking for, I feel like there's a choice right now, kind of putting a stake in the road, and you have to say what you want, what you don't want. You have to let people know where you stand, and don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid if some people walk away, because other people will also walk into your life, and they'll be more in the energetic frequency that you're in. It's important to be happy. It's important to get the help that you need if you're not happy. Take your plans and put them into action. Once you make that choice, feel that it's worth it. It's going to bring you into a stronger energy. And know that you have the capacity to access both sides of your divine energy. I think there's more than that anyway. We sometimes just put ourselves into buckets that we don't need to be. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to flex. You don't have to huff and puff. Sometimes a strong leader is like the crocodile, which is, I know that you have great capacity and power. You don't have to show me. Isolation. It's a temporary isolation. It's not going to go on forever. I really want to pay more attention to the old skin basically here that you have. Feels like this suit, this dress, this old thing that you were wearing, it's not you anymore. And just kind of like the picture on the back, it's almost like it's time to move on and to go to the next phase of the journey. So there's a message on both sides of the card here. So this was you then, this is you now, right? It's time to kind of move on. And if there's something chaotic in your work environment, your living environment, or with your money, you've got to bring it to order this month or step away from it. For love, here's the thing. The strongest eternal love is that of your soul and that of your connection to the divine. When it comes to soulmates, remember that soulmate is a karmic love interest that has either positive karma or heavy karma that you have to kind of work through. So love lasts forever, but you can love and love again, and it's not tied to one person. So I would say when I'm looking at this for relationships, open up a little bit and imagine that there's more than one person that could be of a high energy out there. So if you're not feeling the connection that you need, you don't have to settle either with what I'm seeing. Downloads and understanding, you already know what you need to do. It's really just about allowing yourself to do it. Let's go ahead and expand it. And I wrote down that first piece so I won't forget it. So if not now, then when? Glad I wrote it down. So let's take a look and see around timing. Should you act now? Why aren't you acting now? What's the message around making a decision? What's the trade-off involved with that decision? Okay, we have 8 of Wands. Love it. Love that it's reversed too, because it's basically saying not to give in to pressure. It's not the same energy that you would get from like the 6 of Wands, but sometimes this is being pushed when you see the 8 or 9 of Wands in reversed. So 8 of Wands is a different kind of success. Normally you would see the 8 of Wands kind of, they're up in the air, kind of like rocket ships, right? There's a lot moving at once. And sometimes because we found success with something, we feel like that's the only thing that we can do, whatever that is, whether it's being a parent, whether it's working in a job, whether it's kind of like, yeah, playing the counselor, whatever it is that you do well. That's one thing that you do well, but you have something else that's coming through. We have this little carrier pigeon, which is, or some sort of, it's not a pigeon, but you know what I'm saying? It's basically like that. It's a messenger bird. And this is really the downloads that you're receiving here from Venus, from your heart space. So with the 8 of Wands in reverse, I really feel like this has to do for many of you with what you do for a living or with what you're being pushed to do. Are you feeling weighted down under the energy of what is expected of you and trying to continue to do the same thing? It's like a hamster wheel. This is the Wheel of the Year is the name of this deck, but it's kind of like you're getting stuck in that wheel, right? You can always recreate the motion or the energy. I'm looking at the back of the cards a lot this month, and it's interesting, but and anything with like the Wheel of Fortune, it's like 4 seasons. So it takes a while for anybody that started a new business, at least 1 year to get to the point where you're not kind of in the red. And then it usually takes 3 to 5 years to really build that business up to something new. So just don't expect something to change overnight, but don't be afraid to start the wheel of change happening in your life too. Because when you have the 8 of Wands or the 6 of Wands, Eight of Wands is success with or without recognition. Sometimes it's unrecognized success. Six of Wands is success and recognized success, but I feel like some of you may not even be realizing your own capacity. So start the energy of movement. That can be you delivering the message to the universe, I'm ready for this. Plant the seed to make that movement happen. And then slowly start to take some of those wands and throw them over. Because you could lose two of the wands and still be successful. 8 and 6, very equal energies within the suit of wands. One is public success, one is busyness. So redirect a little bit of your energy. When I wrote my book up there, it took me a long time because I was constantly taking one wand out of my overarching energy. So like when I had a day job, I could only do it evenings or only on the weekend. When I had this, same sort of thing, I could do it 1 day a week or 2 days a week or maybe only evenings. But I made it work, and it took 11 years. You can still make some things work even if it takes forever and ever and ever. Don't give up on it, or it never will happen. So you can decide how many pieces of energy you want to put in there. The wands are indicating your thought process and your energy. Remember what I said about the jellyfish, you're resourceful, so you'll figure it out. All right, so you already have what it takes. You just have to decide to start doing it, and it is now, and that's what I'm seeing. So if not now, then when? It's now. It's just a question of how much. Are you going to give a little, or are you going to give a lot? And this other thing, if there's somebody pushing you to not do it, they don't get what you're trying to do. Let's look at the two balance cards, the Two of Pentacles and the Justice card. How can you find your balance? You just have to speak up. A lot of swords. It's you too, of course, because you're all of the swords cards here. But whenever we look at the Knight of Swords, this is about really sort of expressing yourself and speaking your truth. So you have to speak up. Find the moment. Open that mouth, say what you need to say. People will hear it and they'll be surprised. Sometimes it's not about how often or how loud you speak. It's about what you say and when you say it. So what you say and when you say it will be powerful, and people will listen. And if they don't listen, then move on. Okay. Now, like wild card, let's see. The Devil, limiting thoughts. And also, this is a very lovers type devil. And that's always the case with if we were to look at a traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck and look at the Devil card and the Lovers card, I talk about this sort of parallel. In a traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, you would see the Lovers, and it would be like in the Garden of Eden, and two wonderfully happy people with an angel behind them. In the Devil card, you see some symbol of the opposite, usually the devil, but it can just be chains and other things. And typically two people chained together, not looking at each other. In this one, we're focusing more on the energy of lust, or using maybe something that's appealing to control you. So remember that everything is not what it seems, which is something I've talked about. We see roses and thorns. So we talked about the thistle yesterday. Today we're going to talk about the rose. Sometimes that rose looks really alluring, but you have to be willing to take all the sort of thorny pieces with it as well. And that's part of this. Don't underestimate any of the trade-offs here. So that person, again, or that thing that is pulling you into something that feels like, well, this is kind of what is expected. This is what that person wants. So maybe I'll be happy. If we look really closely, there's a lot of scrapes on these people. So I really want you to look at the trade-offs. And I think someone was asking in chat, like, how do I do it? You just have to say it. There's been points in my life where I've just had to kind of sometimes read from a script. Like when I was quitting my job, I had to do it remotely because I was sick that day. And but I had some stuff written down so that I wouldn't lose my train of thought. The same way that I kind of put index cards at the beginning so I can pull everything together. So write it down and talk from a script, but talk the way that I do, which is like have a few bullets and don't say, so it is important for me now to do, no, you've got to connect with the person, say, okay, I wanted to talk about this. I want to talk about this. It doesn't matter if the communication isn't perfect, it needs to be authentic. So put those bullet points in order so that you don't lose your train of thought, hold your ground, and say, I need you to listen to me. And then I'll listen to you. And I think that's a really effective way to do it. I've had other points in my life where, like, whether it's a parent or a guardian or a boss or someone else, I've had to sometimes say, like, there really isn't room for not accepting this. If there's something that I'm trying to express, this is important to my happiness and to my safety, you have to kind of work with me on this. So there are some things that are non-negotiable, and that's what we see with this as well. So don't be afraid to stand up, because you don't want to kind of get pulled into something that wasn't your sort of dream or your what you want to do. And I feel like you have choices this month. The devil also is about things that are not, like, if there's a person in your life and they're not willing or able to give you what you need, it's usually pretty clear. So maybe there's a third party, maybe there's that lack of commitment, maybe they just lack the integrity or the transparency that you're looking for. You know the devil when you see it. And so this is really just about paying attention to that and being honest with yourself. So whether it's the devil or the Seven of Swords card, sometimes we can lie to ourselves or play the devil to ourselves. And I think that that's the higher energy of this, is just saying, don't fool yourself, because everything else is really positive that we see in the soul space. So what we're seeing here is that you've found success once, or you've been able to help others find success. You can do the same again. And it's just a matter of timing. It's not a question of if, it's how much and when. And I said when is probably now. So it's really just a question of how much you want to give to it. This is about putting that stake in the ground that we saw with the Ace of Swords and moving the needle forward, saying, all right, I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to talk to a lawyer. I'm going to create a website. I'm going to start writing. Whatever it is that you're doing, get that first bit of action started, and it's you. The change won't come to you. You've got to make the change happen. And then just don't give up. Don't give in to any of the lower frequencies of the devil energy, which can be, sometimes it can just be things like a lack of movement. So stagnation is the opposite of transformation. It's not doing anything, right? So that can be the devil. It can be laziness or not feeling like you can find the energy to do something. And it can just be giving in to things that are feeling good in the short term, but not really paying off in the long term. So we don't need to be afraid of this card. The one thing, though, that I do think that strong devil cards have is that the devil shouldn't necessarily be scary. It should show restraints or being kind of pulled back. And it should sometimes be beautiful, because sometimes that's how the devil comes through. It looks like a good thing, but it's not. So it's kind of like wax fruit. If you try to take a bite out of it, you're going to choke. It looks really pretty, but there's nothing there. So there we go. You can do it. Do it now. Put a stake in the ground. Let's stick with these two cards, okay? All right, let's meditate. And before we do that, I'd like to take a moment to say, if you haven't hit like and subscribe, please do that, especially since I'm going to have a couple of collective videos coming up. I think I might start doing more of those, because that's the way I work. I mean, I can pull energy for everybody that's showing up. So if you like them, I hope that you show up. The next one's on the 27th. But please hit like and subscribe. And I'm going to pull out the singing bowl, and we're going to get ready for the meditation. And as I'm looking at all of this today, it feels like I want you to feel like you're able to move. So I'd like to kind of have that energy of reaching up or floating up towards the sky, moving upwards. So we'll work on that ascension energy. Maybe we can just be a bird and take flight. So we'll do that. All right, so let's do a daytime meditation. Sometimes I do them in the night. Let's do one in the daytime. This will be like 2 minutes. Stick around, because at the end I'll pull a card and see if there's anything else, and see if we've kind of resolved the energy of the devil card. So I'll leave you with a closing thought after we meditate. Close your eyes. See yourself at the top of a hill. You could even imagine that before anybody is there, and I'm sure that there's not as many people now because of everything going on in the world, but you can imagine that you're at the top of the hill in Rio de Janeiro, kind of with that statue behind you, protecting you, opening up its heart, opening up its energy, so that you can also open up. Imagine that you're looking out at the distance of the city beyond you, and that you're protected. You have that sort of avatar of protection behind you. So looking out at the city in front of you, I want you to really connect with your heart space. And you're going to take flight in a moment. You'll be like a phoenix, perhaps, opening up your own arms and moving beyond the trappings of what you were. But take a moment now to connect with the sun above you. Feel its warmth and its light and its brilliance shining down into your crown chakra, opening up your awareness and connection to the divine. And then allow that energy to move all the way through your body into the heart space, which is going to carry that light and that brilliant energy to every single cell in your body. And then push that all the way through your feet, almost like you are a tree, you're part of that mountain, you're connecting with the earth, and then feel your heart anchor itself into the planet for a moment, into the molten core of the planet. You have the warmth and brilliance of the sun above you, the warmth and heat of the earth beneath you, and your heart is central to this sort of connection that we're creating. And you start to see it light up. If you could see yourself through the eyes of the Colossus behind you, you would see the resplendence. You would see that you were standing just as tall, at least in your energy, as the Colossus. Imagine for a second that that statue is giving you a hug, is bringing the warmth and the light of the divine into your body as well. So you have this protective energy, almost like an archangel wrapping its wings around you for a second. Since we all can't get a hug, you're going to get a hug now from the divine. The divine can look like whatever you want it to look like, by the way, because it's beyond any sort of earthly concept. So see it as a woman, see it as a man, see it whatever you want it to be. And now allow that divine energy to, like the mom or father that maybe that you didn't have in your life, you can just feel in this moment, you are loved, you are enough, you can do this. Set an intention now for where you want to go. You don't need an elevator. You're going to set the intention in your third eye, and you're going to reach out your arms just like the Colossus behind you. And you're going to notice now that there are feathers, there are wings in the place of these arms, and you can start to take flight. As I play the singing bowl, see yourself going towards that destination that your heart wants you to be at. And then we'll wrap up together in just a moment. Allow yourself for a moment to glide in the sky, see that destination in your heart's mind, in your third eye as well, and allow yourself to connect to that destination if you haven't already landed there, and drift like a feather gently towards the place that you want to be. Take a deep breath and enjoy in this moment the fact that just by imagining what you can do, what you can be, what you can see, you've actually called that path into creation. It's possible now. It's always been possible, but now you see it. Now you've kind of put that first domino into play, and it's all going to start to work towards you as long as you keep working in the other direction as well. And imagine, just as I was seeing in my meditation earlier, that you might be able to get there faster than you imagined. Gently open your eyes when you're ready. I'm going to pull a final card just to see if there's any additional insights into how we can get out of our way. One thing that I was thinking about as I was playing the singing bowl was that nobody's perfect. I talked about that yesterday, the roses and with the roses and thorns. Like the thorns indicate the little prickly things that we're all trying to work through in every life. So when we start to give ourselves and others permission to be imperfect, it's in a lot nicer place to live, right? Because we're all just working and we're all trying to elevate. Also, pruning out what you don't need in your life allows for growth, specifically with roses. That's something that works. All right, the magician, you can do this. And you are doing this already. And we created that action today. Stay focused, believe in yourself, and you'll be fine. The magician upright, there's really nothing bad to say about it. Just pick a path and choose it and stick with it, okay? Love it. Great note to end on. And again, some of those final words with what I saw with the devil card also hold true. Prune out what's unnecessary. Give yourself and others credit for trying and keep on moving. Just don't give in to the low frequencies. For anybody that has been kind enough today to give super chats, I saw them coming through, and super stickers, I appreciate you guys. Like I said, it helps me continue to be able to do what I do here. If you haven't hit like and subscribe yet, please consider doing that. Also, if you're watching it on replay, it only works on the web version or the Android version, but you can also use applause. Sometimes I see a question like it doesn't work. You're probably looking at it on your iPhone or iPad. They haven't done it for that yet. If you want to connect with me, I'm going to give a bunch of ways that you can connect. It's on my website, nicholasashbaugh.com. You can always find my website by clicking on my picture, then the About tab on YouTube, whether you're doing it on mobile or doing it on the website, that will work. Thanks for everybody that's a member, by the way, as well. So I'd love for you to connect with me on social media. These are all the different main social media channels that I'm on with this handle at Nicholas Ashbaugh. On Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and now Twitter, I also I use stories to help convey what's coming through. And I guess it's called a fleet on Twitter. So I always use those, and I will help you find the link to the next video. If I can embed a link in it, I do that as well. On all of these, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, I also post a picture of those index cards with the channel messages, usually within 24 hours of posting the video. So a great way to follow me. Goodreads is a great place to go if you want information on my book. I'll put some more information in a second on that. And Twitter is the only handle that is slightly different. It's Ashbaugh because of character limits. Everything else is just my name, Nicholas Ashbaugh. Okay. Sometimes people ask about Venmo. I don't use Venmo. You can't use it if you have a business. It's only for personal stuff, but you can get me on PayPal, and paypal.me/Nicholas Ashbaugh. And that is also available on my website. You can just click on the patron link. That basically will help you find Patreon, YouTube membership, PayPal, and all that stuff. And finally, if you're interested, I have a book. It's called The Luminous Ones. Science fiction. It is not nonfiction. This is sci-fi, fantasy. And I'll be answering some questions at the very end of the collective reading on the 27th about this, but maybe the last 15, 20 minutes, I'll answer some questions. So hopefully you guys had a great time today. I really do appreciate your presence, the work that you continue to do on yourself, and for showing up today. You helped make all of this possible, and I really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. I'll be back again tomorrow to wrap up for the month of December. Hard to believe, right? I'll be doing Pisces. And then we'll be back again next month to read for the new year. And again, at the end of December, I'll be doing a special collective video as well. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend, what's left of it. And I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye. Thanks again, Ryan and Maria, too. Thank you.